You put out active duty and you give up to your life for your country. You give service. And then when you've finished, it's okay, off you go, drop you back into society, see to yourselves. It's sort of pretty much, yeah, it is. I mean, I'm slight exaggeration, but not a lot. You know this, you know the score. And
Return2Roots podcast. Welcome. Today we bring you Edward Finch. He is part of the One Hundro Club. Here to talk to us about his experience and what we do and how we do it. Without further ado, Ed, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So, can you tell us a little bit about what the One Hundro Club is?
Yes, yeah. The Hondo Club is Christopher Raymond Castro established this, and we launched our beta in February this year. And essentially, we help veterans with their transition from military life into civilian life. We've got a big vision, very big vision. We basically want to change the whole way that veterans are treated. And we see the way veterans transition from military life, the way military life is, they're not really prepared at all well for civilian life. And we want to change that. The other part we want to change is we want to change how veterans are perceived within society. They are respected for the service that they've given and for how they've upheld the Constitution of the United States, how they've protected the public. And once they become veterans, they're respected for what they've done in the past, so their past service. What we want to do is make sure that they get the coaching and support so that they can have a more fulfilling life and they can take a stronger role in supporting civilian society. And they can actually be respected very highly for what they're doing, not just in the past, but doing now. So we work with the 9 realms and we enhance them. We help them develop their skills. We help them get stable with their benefits and stable financially and get on a stable footing mentally and physically and to lead a very successful, very healthy life as part of society. But we're also, the next phase for us, apart from working with veterans, is to move on to work with active duty and to fully prepare active duty personnel for a civilian life. So sharing veterans' experiences and preparing them as much as we possibly can alongside the military so that we supplement their training and their support and prepare veterans for what's to come. It's quite a culture shock. There's lots. I know you're very familiar with the scenarios. We want to make sure that they're well prepared. So we've got the Veteran Hondo Club LLC, and we're just waiting at the moment, every day bated breath, on hearing about registering our 501c, United States Veteran Charity Incorporated. That will be up and running soon. Most things will transfer into that. So we'll have an official 501c3, and then we'll have the Veteran Hondo Club as well. So we can trade commercially. Not that we want to make profit out of it. Personally, we're not profiting from any money at all from the veterans. We have a little bit of income from advertising and affiliate marketing. That sort of pays towards our time, our commitments to this. But other than that, all the money goes genuinely to veterans. Very, very low running costs. Probably lower than most organizations.
What kind of services do you guys offer and help veterans find?
Well, it's a big question. Pretty much everything that veterans need, we will be providing. That's the aim. At the moment, we're prioritizing getting them their benefits entitlement, and we're prioritizing meeting their essential needs. So we're starting with things like checking their housing rights and seeing they've got a roof over their head, seeing that they're financially stable, and providing all kinds of coaching support, particularly around entrepreneurship, so that they can get a stable life. If they are retired, we help them have an active retirement, help deal with PTSD, find ways to give back into society and give back into the veteran community. A lot of camaraderie. We are forming strong strategic partnerships. So obviously we don't expect to do everything ourselves. We're forming strategic partnerships so that we can work with other organisations who are open-minded, open to working together, open to mutual cooperation, so that we can meet all of veterans' needs in one place, so they know exactly where to come and who to go to. That's in a nutshell.
If someone wanted to connect with you and be a part of that strategic partnership, how would they go about it?
They just have to contact us via Veteran Hundro Club, send us a message, pick us up on Facebook or LinkedIn, drop us a message, and we're having meetings all the time. We're having some very, very interesting meetings. Some of the conversations we have are quite astounding, to be honest. Given that we only started in February, when people start making you offers like they're on first name terms with people in the White House and the Pentagon, and say, yeah, we can get you those conversations when you're ready. That's incredible for an organisation that's been going for as little time as we've been going. And yeah, so
Right.
that's pretty much the level we're at. We've got a very unusual organisation. We don't do things by the book. So, for example, we've introduced like a military hierarchy system without the hierarchical control. So as people get involved, we offer them the opportunity to become a leader in the organisation, and we follow the military rank system. So it's not somebody who's promoted for what they put back into the veteran community. So we have our own in-house rank system where people are promoted for supporting the veteran community and for also developing themselves. That's all part of it. And the other major one is all our decisions are democratic. Everybody votes. there's no bosses. I'm vice president. Chris is president. We don't make all the decisions. All the big decisions are worked on behind the scenes. We do all the strategic work, and then we put it to the vote. We take it out to our members and say, this is what we're thinking about doing next. This is what we'd like to do next, and let everybody vote on it. So as money comes in, we say to them, before we spend any of this, let's have a vote on it. So everybody's deciding how the organisation is run, how we most effectively support veterans, and how we spend the income, so that it has the biggest impact to the lives of veterans.
Yeah, you guys have quite a big group of people. So you say you guys have some big vision. Can you give us an example of some of your big vision with One Hundro Club?
Yeah, well, we've got our vision on our website, and the vision people can see. We've also got a mission statement up there. It's a big mission. It's a big mission to totally change the whole system that is thousands of years in the making, where veterans have always been treated as you put out active duty and you give up to your life for your country. You give service. And then when you've finished, it's okay, off you go, drop you back into society, see to yourselves. It's sort of pretty much Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, I'm slight exaggeration, but not a lot. You know this. You know the score, and that needs to change. It was only in the Roman times that they used to reward with a stipend and a piece of land and let them farm and give them a bit of a thank you. But since then, it's no. There's benefits and there are some courses, but pretty much veterans are left to fend for themselves and to find a new mission. That was one of the first starting points for us. What will be the new mission once you've left active duty? You're used to camaraderie, you're used to orders, used to going on missions. Now you're dropped into society. What do you do? What is your new mission? So we're here to provide that.
What is the best way to get a hold of you, Ed?
Yeah. So I've dropped my contact details on the bottom there. You can go to my LinkedIn on there. You can go to finchmodel.com on my website, or you can email me, ask@finchmodel.com. As I say, aside from being vice president of Hondo, I'm also a coach. So that's one of my primary roles in Hondo is coaching people. I've actually got some events coming up very soon. I'm going to be doing a masterclass if it's of interest and a benefit to your members. I've got a masterclass coming up about having a powerful message. This is particularly, I would like to work with organizations, non-profits that help veterans. And if you can get your core message right, which is primarily your vision statement, that is fundamental to the way you run as an organization, but it's also one of the biggest key components in getting fundraising and getting public support. So I'm doing a free masterclass for non-profits on that. I'll be on a monthly basis.
And then we can also sign up on the website?
Absolutely. Yep. The link's there. Yep. It's all about giving as much value as possible. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, brother. What kind of books do you recommend transitioning service members to digest in their transition?
Yes, transition is a big issue. If I called all of that correctly. So the transition point for us is where people are getting ready to leave the military. One of the biggest issues is not having sufficient financial awareness. That's a big problem. The fact also that you've had everything provided for you in the military, quite right. But when you come into civilian life, you've suddenly got to fend for yourself, and there's just everything dumped on it, everything you've got to learn. So what we're trying to do, or will be doing, is building a huge veteran community where the knowledge is shared. We quite like one of the film references. We have some fun with it sometimes. Anybody who's familiar with Star Trek and the Borg, there's a lot of analogies with them. It's not so much the resistance is futile, you'll be assimilated. We're assimilating people into a collective of veterans, into a collective community. But we also, part of our objective is to have a collective mind. So everything that we each know, every bit of knowledge we've got is shared amongst everybody. So the power of the whole veteran community and all the collective knowledge being there for everybody and shared openly is going to be enormously powerful. So anybody transitioning out of military life will just automatically transition into that community, that collective mind. And we're enhancing them as well. There's all sorts of associations there. We have every Sunday we have a meeting, and we have those as a public meeting, so that's available on YouTube. Anybody can go into our YouTube account. Chris will be able to give you the direct email link to that, and they can watch our meetings. They can literally see behind the curtains of us chatting about our visions and all the things we do.
Can you share with us where the idea of the One Hundro Club came from? or how did it get started?
Oh, yeah, so, well, Chris Raymond Castro, the president, he had the idea for a number of years. He spent about 8 years learning computer programming and coding so that he could set up a website for veterans to access their proper benefits entitlement. He had a bigger vision than that. He wanted to support veterans. He wanted to do something bigger. And he actually came to me when, as my coaching business with Finch Model, and he wanted some help because his website wasn't getting the attention that it needed from the veteran community. So I gave him benefit of coaching advice a fair bit, and he came back to me and said, could he work with me as a client? So we sort of discussed that, but uh, because of because he wasn't at that point in time getting the traction that he needed, um, we had a deeper conversation about it, and I said, "Well, tell you what, why don't we come into this together? I'm fascinated with the whole sector. I've pretty much always been in the voluntary sector one way or another. I've run many social enterprises. I love what you're doing. So I said, "Oh, I'll pitch in with my coaching skills." And so pretty much bit my arm off, and never regretted it for a moment. Never regretted it for moments. We get on extremely well, and everything that you see today with Hondo and everything that's coming is a result of the two of us just brainstorming and getting extremely adventurous and doing things differently. Uh, Everything that we have, everything that's wowed people is a result of the work we've put into building a unique organization. We we try to do things as effectively as possible. I could give you another example which highlights that. We have Chris has been doing WordPress development and WordPress services for people who want a website. He set up an enterprise to do that. And I looked at the market and said, well, yeah, this is great, but there's so many people out there providing web design services. And the expectation is a client has to come already prepared. So I said, well, how about we join up on this as well, and we'll provide a package deal. So they get a website designed, but they also get coaching as well. So we prepare them for having their website developed, and they get marketing strategy, they get business strategy, they get all the things that they need to set up and run their business. Yeah, we like doing things differently. We like challenging convention.
And so, Ed, we are happy that you're doing this. We're happy to what the Honda Club is doing. Hence, you're here. But what about yourself? What's a little bit of history about you? Who are you?
Am I? That's a good question. Yes. So I started off my working life in horticulture, just gardening, landscaping, that sort of thing. Ran a number of social enterprises in that. I spent probably more years than I care to think about at university. Eventually came out with a master's degree in landscape architecture, which is the same level profession as architects. So that's a little bit about my background. I worked a lot for many years in the voluntary sector. I've worked in private sector. My last job in employment as such, instead of self-employed, being employed, was a chief exec of a small arts charity. And over the years, I've just gathered as much information as possible around that. I've been in coaching since the early 1990s, and this was in England. I was one of the first people, probably in the world, I think, as far as I'm aware, to qualify to assess other coaches against the national standards. National standards in coaching were just being written at that time. So yeah, I was right there, one of the guinea pigs at the very beginning, and learned learned and qualified to assess other coaches. Ever since, I've really just loved helping people, particularly in entrepreneurship. I've run many of my own businesses, some successful, some not. That's just the way it is. Always come back to coaching principles, always come back to giving value and helping people and helping them have the best quality life they can, which is my passion. So basically, Hondo for me is going to be the primary focus now until I retire, and maybe a little bit beyond. You never know. May still be involved. But it was about a half. Always wise, isn't it, Chris? got to ask the other half.
No, that's and part of the show is to kind of have people get to understand and know who's inside the organization and who's out there taking the veteran side. So that's why we're asking a little bit about you and what kind of books that what is like some stuff that you recommend people to listen to and all that stuff. That's why we were asking those questions.
Yeah.
It's super important for people to know who you are, and because veterans, we have a trust issue. I think it's rightfully, we have developed these skills to kind of start vetting things out because after you get told, hey, you're going into port, and then they say, nope, gotcha, over and over and over again, you start learning, don't always trust everything that's in front of you. But with that all said, man, like what was it that kind of helped you get and find your purpose, and with the whole entire coaching, like what led you to that? Because architecture, landscape architecture to coaching, those are two totally different areas, especially because architecture, they work individually in most cases.
Yeah. Well, it was actually it was more of something I was doing aside from the studies as a student. I was in the martial arts for many years. I first started the martial arts back in the early 1980s. I started karate. I took a long break from it. I came back to it, and I was very fortunate to train under a master, Shihan Ray Wilson, who's passed away now. Ultimately got to 8th Dan. You can only get to 9th Dan, so it gives you an idea. So that's where I did my coaching. That's where I got my interest in it, and that was sort of my passion. Yes, in terms of books and what sort of inspired me, there's one book that I love. I've got it up by my bed here, and it was a game changer for me. I was doing my master's degree, and I was in student accommodation, and I got into a deep philosophical conversation with a friend of one of the other students in there, and we were chatting, and he sort of asked me, he says, I'm going to ask you a deep question now. He says, what is quality? What is quality? And I sort of thought about it. It's challenging. So gave him what I thought was probably the best answer I could on the spur of the moment. And he was shocked, and he went off and he grabbed a book, which I think I've got it up here. I might just about be able to reach it. You can see that it is somewhat battered. It's Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance and Inquiry into Values by Robert Pirsig. And
yes, beautiful book.
Beautiful book. This book.
Beautiful book.
This is the second time we've heard about this book, Yogi.
Yeah.
On this show.
It's one of those books that's it's not easy to read. Definitely not easy to read.
No.
Because he literally goes from his motorcycle travels with his son across America, and then almost in a paragraph, then immediately switches to a past existence and switches back again. Takes a bit of following. But this book helped me massively in my master's, and it helps me to understand myself on a deeper level. I always there was a tutor at university who had a readership, which is the highest possible level you can get in any academia, and he could tell you anybody's personality in depth, and he was blowing people away with just describing everybody's personality and their personal traits and everything else. The students came to tell me about this, and they said, he can describe everybody except you. This is fascinating. He couldn't work me out. And having read this book, I then realised why, and it's sort of deep buried in there. But it was also the other thing for me was my master's was on the symbiosis, the relationship between people and nature, and I wanted to make that happen on a citywide scale. And deep in this book, I found that connection. I found something that wasn't available in any published book anywhere in the world. So to me, that on two fronts, that changed things for me. And I'm very happy with myself and very comfortable with being different. And I think that's fine. You've got to find your happy place. You've got to find that happy place. But as Chris, as you're saying, with veterans wanting to know who I am or who people are, they're very welcome to ask. I have nothing to hide. I'm open, bit of an open book in that respect now. Just people want to ask questions, they just ask what they want. Trust is earned by being honest and by giving people values, and just honesty and integrity are two of my core values, and I strongly believe in those. I used to have a saying, give everybody the benefit of doubt until they prove otherwise. It's, you've just got to.
Yeah.
Ed, I wanted to say thank you so much for coming on the show. Would love to have you back and talk a little bit more. I know we're gonna be doing our live with everybody. The live is gonna be released prior to this actual episode being aired online. However, we want to thank you so much for coming with us and sharing your opportunities and what you're doing with the One Hundro Club, and just sharing about who you are.
Thank you. No, you're very welcome. Very welcome. It's been a pleasure. I always enjoy podcasts. Yeah.
Hey, and I know the whole entire being abroad, makes it really hard to communicate on the Texas side. On the I'm not in
Yes, that's well.
I'm in Washington State. Okay, I guess I got a little bit of Texan in me. I lived there for 9 years, but wow, totally just messed that up.
Don't worry.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you working with us and getting on here so that way our listeners can learn more about. Let me see your hat really quick. Let me see that hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
One of
Speaking of that,
Hundro hat.
one of two.
for our listeners, where are you?
I'm in France. I'm in the Dordogne. So very, very beautiful part of France.
What are you doing over there?
Well, I moved here about 5 years ago because I was living in England all my life, and England changed so much. I just thought, I need a change, needs a fresh start, and came to France, had a look. Yes, it's lovely. It's lovely.
Then you said that I'm saying. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, France is a beautiful country. Well, brother, hey, thanks for coming on here. Hey, everybody that's listening to this show right now, I want you guys to go take a look at Ed and his program that he's running. He has a awesome coaching program, and it's going to be scrolling on the bottom of here. Check out his LinkedIn profile. Make sure you friend him. Make sure you connect with him, and make sure that you guys check out the One Hundro Club. Ed, along with Ed is a veteran ambassador, not just for America. So if you are one of our brothers and sisters that are abroad and you guys kind of connect with what we're saying, take a look at the One Hundro Club, because their aspirations, most of them are from America, the cohort, whole entire group, the organization, but they're also expanding into other countries, because that's one thing that us veterans do. We connect with other veterans, regardless of what country we serve, because we have our own patriotism towards our country. Doesn't mean that we don't get along with each other and we can't also collaborate with each other. So, listeners, thank you so much. Remember, it's your transition. It's your transition. Take charge of it. Return to Roots, MIl2Vet, out.